Hey everyone, this is Lucy from KBeautyHobbit.com. Time for another Ohora video. Today I'm going to be trying a brand new to me product called the Ohora Pro Nail Primer Plus. This is not a sponsored video. The primer was gifted to me, however there was no expectation for review or video or anything. I'm just doing it because I thought you might want to see how that goes. I have never used any sort of primer with any gel stickers, so this is brand new to me, but some of you have asked me about products like that before, so I thought, okay, I have it, I'll try it, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to prep my nails the way I always do for all nail strips by pushing back the cuticle. I like using metal cuticle pushers. I'll put links for everything that I'm using in the description box. These are not very expensive. You can get them pretty much anywhere nail tools are sold. I get my stuff on Amazon usually. And then if you're shopping on the Ohora USA website, feel free to use my affiliate code Lucy. It's just Lucy to get a discount on your order. Some people like to remove the cuticle completely. I don't do that, but whatever cuticle care that you normally do, go ahead and do that. Just avoid using lotions or creams or a lot of water before your manicure because that can affect its longevity. I am not trimming my nails today. I usually don't before application, but especially not today. They're very, very short. I had a different brand of gel strips on my nails before. I was hoping to keep them for 2 weeks and kind of see how long my nails will grow, but unfortunately I had to take them off after 1 week, so we're still pretty short. The color I'm going to be using today for Ohora is called N Luxuriant. This was a limited edition set that they gifted me a while back, so you might not be able to find that exact color on the site anymore, but they have tons of really nice designs, so I'm sure you'll find something that you like. You get 2 strips or 2 sheets of strips, and these are semi-cured, so you will need a lamp to cure them fully. The 2 sheets are not identical to each other in size. Just make sure you know that when you apply these, because some brands will give you 2 sheets but they're completely identical. Know that Ohora's are not. So if you're not finding your sizes on one sheet, please check the other sheet. Even when I layer them over the top of each other, if you look at these bigger strips, you'll see that they're not the same size between the 2 sheets. I'm only mentioning that because I made that same mistake myself the first time I was applying Ohora. I kept trying to stick to one sheet and keep the other one completely new for a second manicure without realizing that the sizing on them is different. Inside the kit you also get the prep pads and then this little envelope here with an orange stick and a tiny nail file. Those are okay to use if that's all you have, but typically I just use my own tools. I'll use their prep pads though. So I pushed back the cuticle and I didn't really do anything else to my nails. I don't rough them up. I know some people like to take kind of a rougher nail file to the surface of the nail to make them a little bit more textured, to give the strips something to grip to, but my nails are naturally on the thinner side. I don't want to thin them out anymore by doing that, and I've really had no problems with Ohora lasting close to 2 weeks, other than just nails looking grown out, but you can't really help that. But I've had no problems with Ohora lasting well on me recently without having to do anything like rough up the nails. I do a couple of optional steps though that really make a difference in how long and how well these wear, so definitely stick around to the end of the video. If you have no interest in the whole pro nail primer part of this tutorial, you can either skip forward a couple of minutes or you can just check out my nails playlist. I have several different Ohora tutorials kind of as they evolved over the years. My most viewed one is the first time I did them, but since then I've discovered some other tips and tricks that make them never lift at the cuticle. So definitely check out like the more recent Ohora one. It's called the life-changing Ohora trick. Watch that one if you are just starting with Ohora and don't want to use the Primer Plus. The instructions for this product say to apply it and then let dry completely before doing the strips. That's what I plan on doing. So my nails are dry now from the prep pad, and I don't think I have to be super precise with this. I don't plan on going over the skin or anything, but because this is just clear, I'm going to apply it like I would a nail strengthener, so trying to be kind of precise but not applying it with the same care or the same attention to detail as I would, let's say, red nail polish. And in general, thin coats are usually good. It's better to do a couple thin coats than one thick coat. If you have pooling at the cuticle, here's a little trick for application of any polish or gel. You can put the brush a little bit away from the cuticle right there and then push it down instead of starting right at the cuticle line and maybe having a little blob of polish there. This one, the formula is very thin and water-like. It does smell sort of like polish remover, not super strong, but definitely smells like some sort of solvent. So I'm guessing it will dry quickly. I'm going to do both hands with this and let that dry so that I don't have to wait twice. I'm going to do both and then wait probably a couple of minutes. Like I said, it really doesn't look like it's going to take a long time to dry. So I'll check it in a couple of minutes and just checking for any bumps. I don't think this has to be super duper precise, but the marketing materials say that this will help the strips stick. And they also describe this as a sticky layer. So I wonder if it will feel sticky to the touch even after it dries. I'm not sure. I would not be surprised if that's the case. So we'll kind of check together in a few minutes after it dries completely. It's been less than 2 minutes. I just finished my second hand, my right hand, and I thought I'd check the left hand, and it is already completely dry to the touch. It's not sticky. And when I put a nail to it gently to see if I could dent it, it's not denting. So I think it's completely dry. I would avoid, though, touching all the nails with your fingertips because we don't want to get oil on there because we degreased everything, painted them nicely, but I checked one just to see if it's tacky to the touch or anything, and it's not. It honestly just looks and feels like clear, strengthening type of nail polish that dries really, really fast. Now we need to check for the sizing for these, and I can see how it might be a little bit trickier now to check for sizing if the coat was sticky to the touch, but it's not, so I think we're going to be okay. The line here at the edge is what's meant to go on your cuticle. I do like that Ohora puts that there. Every single strip comes with its own little film, protective film over the top that you need to remove before applying these. I'm going to just check what looks like the right size for my nail without being too large for my nail. And when in doubt, you can definitely go a little bit smaller rather than too large. You don't want to overlap. These can stretch a bit width-wise, not a ton though, maybe like 1 millimeter or so. So definitely try to find one that is more your size. Don't try to stretch a tiny pinky size, let's say, to cover your thumb, okay? And then the ones that are like these, where it's all one color, or this one is a really shimmery, very pretty iridescent color. These ones are a little bit easier to stretch, just in a sense that there's no design to distort, so you can stretch these a bit more than you would, let's say, if you had horizontal stripes or vertical stripes or some kind of design that could potentially get distorted. So I line it up to the best of my ability, trying to get it centered, and then let go. Check for that centeredness, because before you really smush it down, you potentially could reposition it. I can definitely see how this might lift that clear coat though. So that's the problem with base coats most of the time, is if you don't put your nail strip on exactly correctly and then have to take it off, usually you can't reuse that same strip because now it's going to have the top coat remnants on it, or the base coat, your primer. So maybe try it without the primer first, just so you're comfortable with placing the strips. I'm very comfortable with placing them, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, now I'm going to smush down the strip with my finger just to make sure it sort of lays flat on the nail. And then I like to use my own rubber cuticle pusher. Again, very inexpensive. I pretty much use the same one in all the videos. Very occasionally, some brands will include these in their kits, but I think every brand honestly should include these because this little tool is a huge game changer. It basically makes sure that there are no bubbles and that the edge here is really adhering well to your nail. And you just cannot get that kind of precision, that kind of precise pressure with just fingertips. And using the orange stick that most brands do include the little wooden stick I showed you that Ohora includes too. It's just not as good. It's not soft, doesn't have the little bounce to it like the rubber cuticle pushers do, and it can even dent the nails. Yeah, don't push too hard on these because they are semi-cured, so they're not fully hard, and you could put a dent in these. Now that it's on, going to cut off the excess. You can use clippers if that's what you're used to. I always use manicure scissors because I grew up with that. When I was little, I don't even know if we had nail clippers in Russia, to be honest. Like later we did, but mostly I think people use those for toenails. So I'm cutting that off. You don't have to be super precise. I mean, don't chop off your nail or anything, you know, don't be really careless with this, but you don't have to have a perfect smooth edge here at the end because we will file that down after curing the nails. We will smooth out all the little imperfections. So all you're really doing is just taking off that excess length because once we bake, once we cure these nails, they will be hard and you're not going to be able to just cut them like that. But you will be able to file it, no problem. So that's one nail. It takes me way less time to do this if I'm not talking through every step, so don't worry when you're doing this at home. It is not going to take you this long for each nail. Let's do one more together, then I'll finish them off camera and we'll move on to the next step. I think this size is good for the middle finger. So removing the little film, I usually start a tiny pile of garbage off to the side and put on all my little nail clippings on that. Then peel this up without touching too much of the back side of the sticker because I don't want to get my skin oil on there. So I'm okay touching the edge that I'm going to cut off, but I try not to touch anything that's going to go to the cuticle, let's say. And then line it up as close to the cuticle as possible without going over. Gently drop it down like that. If your nails are very long and there's not much on the end here that you're going to be cutting off and you don't want to touch that at all, you can use tweezers, the ones that you would use to tweeze eyebrows, to pick that up and lay it down. I always like to grab the skin here on the edge and kind of pull it a little bit to the side to make sure that when I'm pressing down the sticker that it's not going at all over the skin. I don't want any bubbles, I don't want any buckles, and I don't want anything touching the skin at all. And I'm sorry if the nail is occasionally out of focus. It's a bit hard for me to tell in the viewfinder, but I do see that sometimes when I edit my videos, and there's just not a lot I can do about it. I'm moving my hands. I don't have a dedicated video person, obviously. I'm doing everything myself, and the camera is between me and my hands. So my hands are quite a bit further away from me than they normally would be if I were just to do this myself on my couch at night, like I normally do. And so that adds kind of a layer of complexity, and just in general, filming nail videos is quite a process. It is difficult. So bear with me if something looks a bit fuzzy. I usually try to catch that and kind of refocus my camera, but you know, sometimes I miss it. All right, and then cut the excess off. And there we go. You could shape your nails a bit here if you really had longer nails that were rounded and you wanted them to be more straight or more like a squoval. You could cut off some of your nail length with the sticker to sort of shape it a bit more how you want. I'm not doing that today just because I can't afford to cut any of my nail off because they're so short. A quick interruption, as I just discovered a completely new trick. I put on this nail, this index fingernail, and you can see there's a bit of space there between the sticker and my skin. You can see a little bit of a nail there. I don't want to peel this off and try to reposition it or stretch it. It is fine on this side. It's just there's a little bit too much nail showing on this side. And I discovered that you can grab your rubber cuticle pusher and push kind of hard here and move the sticker, stretch it while it's attached. And move it to cover more of the nail. Yes, that dents the sticker. Not bad though. The dents do kind of come out, and I will be baking these and it should be okay. I mean, I don't see anything too bad, but it did move or stretch the sticker just enough to where I'm comfortable with it now. I'm comfortable with the coverage. Because I'm a perfectionist, it really drives me absolutely crazy if there's something a little bit off with the manicure. But now this little sliver here, I'm okay with that. it's a lot less of a sliver than it was before. So I thought I'd pop on here and share that real quick because it made a difference. And I actually discovered that on this nail because the same thing happened here. Again, like I said, it's very difficult to put these on with the camera in the way, so I didn't do as good of a job as I normally would. And I was able to grab at that sticker and push it down and kind of make it a bit wider. So I still would like to avoid having to do that, but if you did make a little whoopsie and you want to make a tiny correction, you can without peeling the sticker off. I put these on both hands and had no problems, really. There's no difference in application with the primer versus without the primer, but again, I didn't have to reposition any nails, so I'm not sure if there would be a difference there. This is what's left of my strips. I don't think it's enough for me to do a full manicure again, just because I used most of the sizes that I would need. However, I'm going to keep these because I had a really great wear with Ohora on my nails, on the toenails, and I did a pedicure tutorial a few weeks ago. I just took them off last night because my toenails were just getting too long and I wanted to trim them. But nothing lifted, nothing chipped, nothing came off, nothing. And all I did there was apply them and put them under a lamp. I didn't do any optional steps, no top coats, nothing. And they lasted well. So I'm going to use up, I think, these leftover ones. I can cut up the pinky one to probably cover like 4 little toes. My toes are very small. And then I can pick one of these bigger ones, maybe trim off a little bit or something to do my big toes without buying a whole pedicure pack. So I'll keep these. And because I want to keep this now, before this next step, I'm going to put them back in their little dark box here because that protects them from getting cured accidentally with a lamp when I do my hands. If I had to pick one most important, affordable, simple, yet very impactful trick for applying any semi-cured gel strips, it would be this little thing. This is a squish light. It's a UV light, like a flashlight, and it has this silicone topper. Mine came with a couple extras. It cost under $10. I will put a link in the description box. I bought this myself. I saw somebody recommend it in a group for Dashing Diva, and I thought, okay, I'll try it. It makes a huge difference with lifting at the cuticle and just with general adhesion. So all you do is turn it on and smush it down for a few seconds on your nails. As I said in one of my recent videos for a different brand, I think you could maybe cure your whole nail all the way with this, but I don't want to do that. I want to use my big lamp for that. I'm just using this to kind of cure a little bit for just a few seconds on each nail because I'm applying pressure while curing, and that really makes the nail stick super, super well, but I still do the big lamp afterwards for a couple of rounds. The first time I tried this light trick was in very late March this year, right before we went on a cruise in early April, and I did that with my Ohora nails, and I had absolutely no snagging at the cuticle. Hair did not get in there, nothing. It was completely fine for the full 2 weeks, and I only took the nails off because they looked grown out, not because I had any wear issues. I know this is another additional step. I know this is a little bit more time again, but it makes such a huge difference that it's worth it. Now that that is done, it took me maybe a couple minutes total. I'm going to stick my hands under the lamp that I have. I do 2 1-minute rounds on each hand. And I always wear these UV protective gloves. It's up to you if you want to do that or not, but I've done that for years and I will continue doing it. I cured both hands and I filed all of the fingers except for one. I left one to show you. It doesn't look too bad even before filing, but it's not as smooth as I would like. So all I do is use a coarse grit file. I prefer one of my own just because it's longer. It's more comfortable to hold. And then I file in one direction. Even if the nail looks okay, I still go over it with a file one time. It just makes it feel better and kind of feel more finished than simply curing. And sometimes I have little pieces maybe where I didn't trim the nail and the sticker super carefully, but I go over it one time, usually just like this, and then I make sure to brush off the little nail dust here because I'm going to do one more optional step. Once you filed all of the nails or filed whatever you don't like, then you can stop right there. This can be it. This can be the finished look. If you're happy with the wear and the look, fine. But I do one more optional step, and that's a top coat. I used to do the kind where you had to put a base coat, then cure, base on top of the sticker, then cure, then put a top coat, cure, and then wipe off the sticky residue with an alcohol wipe. But now I use the one-step coat, so there's no base coat required for this. I use this Alice and Bella one. This is not sponsored or anything. They gifted it to me, and I didn't have a good top coat at the time, so I started using this. I really like it, so I'm just going to keep using it. There's no reason for me to get anything else because this is really good. All I do is gently sort of swirl it. Don't shake it up and down because you don't want any globs in the lid, because that can then kind of spill out onto your nail. Open it up and swirl it out gently. Don't just pull out the brush, but swirl it out, because you don't want, again, any globs of polish. And then I try to only pull the brush out on one side like that and have the gel on the other side of the brush. I always start with the pinky finger, because for some reason when I start with the thumb, then when I do the rest of the hand before curing this, there's usually a pool of extra gel on the side of the thumb. I think just from gravity, from me holding my hand a certain way when I do the rest of the nails. Cap the free edge first. Make sure you go over the nail and the sticker. Stay away from the skin. If you get any on the skin, then go ahead and wipe that off, or that's actually a perfect time to use the included orange stick, the wooden stick, to gently scrape off the gel off of your skin. Do not cure gel onto your skin. First of all, it can cause allergies, and second of all, it can then cause cracking and lifting. If part of the gel is on your skin and then part is on the nail, the skin part will start lifting and it can kind of crack the whole gel, even the gel that's on your nail. I do this to all of the one hand, cure it, and then do it to all of the other hand, and then cure it. I don't do two hands. I don't paint both hands and then cure them one by one, because that just opens up basically an opportunity for me to smudge whichever hand I'm not currently curing. So if you are more careful than I am, if you're able to paint both hands and then cure them one by one, go for it. But if not, consider doing one hand at a time. Okay, now we're done. Now by my standards, it's done. The top coat is on, it is fully cured, everything's trimmed, filed. The free edges are no longer looking like two separate things of just the sticker and the nail. Now they're completely capped. So we'll see how this lasts. What I'm really curious about, and I would have to update you in the comments, remind me if I forget, is how the removal would be for this. Because typically what I do is pick a little bit at the cuticle edge just to lift the sticker a little bit. Then I put either remover there, or you can use oil, or sometimes even warm soapy water would help. Just kind of depends on how long you had the stickers on. The longer you've kept them on, the weaker the adhesive, the easier they are to remove. I have removal videos in the nails playlist. I'll also put them in the description box, the links for them, so you can look at that. But whenever I remove these things, it's always just the sticker. The gel on top does not affect the removal process at all, because that's not on the nail, it's on the sticker. And the still capped free edge, that does not affect the removal at all. But this primer, that could potentially affect removal. I mean, I can definitely see it affecting removal potentially. So I don't know if after I remove with the Ohora remover, which is what I've been using, if that will also take off this primer, or if it will kind of eventually maybe wear out enough after I've had these for a week or two. Maybe there won't be a primer residue on the nails, or maybe I will actually have to use a cotton round and polish remover, which I hate doing. So I don't know. That's another reason why I typically do not use primers. But we'll see. If this has a big impact on how the nails wear, on the longevity and how they look, as far as lifting or anything like that, then it's worth it. It only added a couple of minutes to the application process. It dried really, really, really quickly. It was easy to apply. It was not a big hassle at all. And I'm all for spending a couple minutes extra, even 10-15 minutes extra during application time to make sure that my nails look really good for 2 weeks or a week and a half. So that's not a problem for me. But if this does not have any sort of effect on how these wear, And if it requires extra pain and effort at removal, then it's probably not for me. But we're all different, so maybe try it. If you have tried it, if you see a big difference or if you don't see a difference, whatever your experience with this has been, if you've tried it, please leave me a comment. I'm always curious to see what you guys think. This is it. This is what they look like. I'm going to give them a few hours before I do any lotion. I definitely really need lotion. My hands are so dry. But ideally, I like to give them overnight. And typically, I do my manicures late in the evening after the kids are in bed while I watch TV. Not when I'm filming though. I can't really film that late at night. I'm too tired. But normally I would do them and go straight to bed and give them overnight to sort of totally adhere and without exposing them to water. But right now it's midday on a Sunday. So I am going to just give them what I can give them and see what happens. I try to post manicure updates of wear and such to my nails highlight on Instagram at KBeautyHobbit. You can also find me in my Facebook group, Korean Beauty Fanatics. We have over 88,000 members now. And on my blog, KBeautyHobbit.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or if you have any suggestions on what tricks I should try next or what brands I should try next, leave me a comment. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, please remember to always listen to your skin. Thank you so much. Bye.